My beloved child. Pause for a moment and feel this, because something quietly shifted today. You didn't see it. You didn't hear it. But your name was spoken, gently, carefully, in a conversation that was never meant for you to know about. Earlier today, your person sat beside their brother. It wasn't a dramatic setting. No spotlight. No grand confession. Just an ordinary moment that suddenly turned extraordinary when your name slipped into the air. And the way they said it, it wasn't casual. It carried weight. Don't skip this. What they shared may change the way you see everything. At first, their brother asked a simple question. Are you still thinking about them? There was a pause. Not an awkward pause. A revealing one. Your person didn't rush to answer. They looked down. They smiled in a way they couldn't hide. And then they said something they've never said out loud before. They said, I try not to, but somehow, everything reminds me of them. Let that sink in. They weren't speaking out of obligation. They weren't performing. This was unfiltered. Honest. Private. Stay till the end, because this conversation didn't stop there. Their brother noticed the softness in their voice and leaned in. So why haven't you reached out? And that question hit deeper than anyone expected. Your person inhaled slowly. Not because they didn't care, but because they care more than you realize. They said, it's not that I don't want to. It's that I'm afraid if I say the wrong thing, I'll lose what little connection still exists. Read that again in your heart. They are not distant because they forgot you. They are quiet because they feel too much. Something huge is waiting for you in this story, and you deserve to understand it fully. The conversation continued. Their brother asked, almost teasingly, do you still see a future with them? This time there was no hesitation. Yes, they said. But only if I become the version of myself they deserve. That was the moment everything shifted. This isn't about avoidance. This isn't about indifference. This is about growth happening behind the scenes. You thought silence meant the end. But today proved it might mean preparation. And what they revealed next, even their brother didn't expect. They said, I don't talk about them much because when I do, it becomes real. And when it becomes real, I realize how much they still matter. They are protecting something fragile. Not hiding it. Protecting it. You were not a chapter. You were a turning point. And the most surprising part? Their brother, who rarely gets emotional, said quietly, then don't let fear write the ending. That sentence has been echoing in your person's mind ever since. They didn't argue. They didn't deflect. They just sat there, thinking about you. Tonight, they will replay that conversation. They will remember how easily your name softened their tone. How naturally your memory brought light to their expression. You may not see it yet. You may not feel it yet. But something is moving. This was not a random discussion. It was a mirror moment. A wake-up realization. And in part 2, you will hear what your person admitted after their brother left the room, something they have never confessed to anyone before. Stay with this. Because the truth unfolding here is quieter than drama, but stronger than doubt. After the room grew quiet and the footsteps faded, your person stayed seated, staring at nothing, yet thinking about everything. The air felt different. Not heavy. Not dramatic. Just honest. Because when their brother left, there was no one to impress. No one to protect their pride in front of. Just them, and the truth they had been holding back. They reached for their phone. Don't skip this moment. Your name was already there in their search bar. Not by accident. Not randomly. It was muscle memory. A habit they pretend they've broken but clearly haven't. They didn't type a message. Not yet. Instead, they opened your photo. The one they said they deleted. The one they told themselves they were over. And they whispered something no one else heard. I miss who I am when I'm with them. Let that land. It wasn't just about missing you. It was about missing the version of themselves that only you brought out, softer, braver, more open. Stay till the end, because what happened next was even more revealing. They replayed the conversation with their brother in their mind. The question. The pause. The truth. And then they admitted something quietly to themselves. I'm not afraid of rejection. I'm afraid they've grown past me. That was the real fear. Not that you wouldn't respond. But that you might have healed without them. That realization shook something loose inside them. For the first time, they stopped seeing the situation as distance. They started seeing it as a choice. And in that stillness, something shifted. They opened your old messages, not to relive the past, but to understand the future. They noticed how you encouraged them. How you believed in them before they believed in themselves. Something huge is waiting for you in this story, and it's this. They realized they don't want to come back the same. They want to come back better. Not louder. Not dramatic. Not desperate. Better. Their brother's words echoed again, don't let fear write the ending. And for the first time, your person questioned whether silence was strength, or just comfort. Because today wasn't just a casual conversation between siblings. It was a turning point. They stood up. Walked to the window. Took a deep breath. And they said quietly, if it's meant to continue, I have to be the one who moves. That sentence was not spoken lightly. It was spoken with intention. You may not see action yet. You may not receive a message tonight. But something internal has already begun. The wall they built to protect themselves. It has a crack in it now. And in part 3, you'll discover the unexpected sign that appeared later that same evening, a moment so precise, so aligned, that even they couldn't ignore it. Stay with this. Because what they shared with their brother today didn't just reveal feelings. It awakened courage. Later that evening, when the world outside grew still, something happened that even they couldn't explain away. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. But it was precise. Your person sat alone, replaying everything their brother had said. The courage. The challenge. The quiet truth. They kept asking themselves one question. What if this is my moment to stop waiting? And then their phone lit up. Not with your message. With a memory. A photo from exactly 1 year ago. The two of you laughing at something neither of you can probably even remember now. The timestamp. The date. The setting sun in the background. The timing was almost impossible. Don't skip this. Because that small notification did something bigger than any speech could. It made the feeling real again. They didn't scroll past it. They stared at it. They zoomed in. They remembered how natural it felt. How safe. How aligned. And then they whispered, this didn't feel temporary. Stay till the end, because this is where everything begins to shift. For the first time, they stopped framing you as the past. They started seeing you as unfinished. Their brother's words, the earlier conversation, the fear they admitted, it all connected in that single quiet moment. It wasn't random. It felt like a mirror being held up to their heart. And here is the revelation that changes everything. They opened a blank message. They typed your name. They wrote 3 words. Not dramatic words. Not grand promises. Just 3 honest words they've been holding back for too long. I've been thinking. They didn't send it yet. But they didn't delete it either. Something huge is waiting for you, and it's not just a message, it's momentum. Because today wasn't about confession. It was about clarity. Speaking about you with their brother unlocked something. Seeing that memory sealed it. They finally understand that silence hasn't brought them peace. You have. And as they sat there, looking at your name glowing softly on their screen, they made a quiet decision. The next move will not come from fear. It will come from truth. You may not know the exact hour. You may not see the exact second. But tonight, the distance between you became smaller, not physically, but emotionally. And when someone reaches that level of realization, action is no longer a question of if. It becomes a matter of when. Stay with this story. Because what began as a simple conversation between siblings has now become a turning point that neither of you will forget. The message is waiting. And so is the next chapter. Midnight arrived, and with it came a decision that could no longer be postponed. Your person was still awake. The room was quiet, but their thoughts were not. That unfinished message, I've been thinking, still rested on their screen like a doorway waiting to be opened. They read it again. And again. Don't skip this moment. Because what happened next wasn't impulsive. It was intentional. They added more words. Not paragraphs. Not explanations. Just honesty. I realized something today. You still matter to me more than I admitted. They stopped typing. Their heart felt steady, not rushed. This wasn't desperation. This wasn't loneliness. This was clarity born from that conversation with their brother, the one that forced them to face what they've been avoiding. Stay till the end, because this is where the energy truly shifts. Before sending it, they did something surprising. They closed their eyes and asked themselves one final question. If they never respond, will I regret staying silent more? The answer came immediately. Yes. And that single realization changed everything. You see, earlier today when they spoke about you with their brother, they weren't just remembering you. They were defending you. When their brother gently challenged them. Are you sure you're not idealizing it? Your person didn't hesitate. They said, no. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. And real is rare. That statement wasn't casual. It was a confession. Something huge is waiting for you, and it's this. They no longer see you as a question mark. They see you as unfinished truth. Back in the quiet of midnight, their thumb hovered over the send button. They weren't shaking. They weren't afraid in the way they used to be. They were aware. Aware that reaching out doesn't guarantee outcomes, but it guarantees integrity. And in that stillness, they pressed send. No dramatic music. No fireworks. Just one honest message traveling across the distance between you. The moment it left their phone, they felt lighter. Not because they expect everything to fix itself overnight, but because they finally chose courage over comfort. And here's the revelation that may change the way you see everything. The conversation with their brother wasn't just about you. It was about who they are becoming. They are no longer the version who hides behind silence. They are stepping into the version who speaks truth, even when it feels vulnerable. Whether you read that message tonight or tomorrow, something irreversible has already happened. They crossed the line from thinking to acting. Stay with this story. Because in the next part, you'll discover what was going through their mind in the exact seconds after that message was delivered, and the unexpected realization that followed when they saw your name light up their screen. This isn't coincidence. It's movement. And it has already begun. The seconds after the message was delivered felt longer than the entire year before it. Your person didn't move. They watched the screen as if it held the answer to everything they had been holding inside. The small word beneath the message, delivered, felt ordinary, but to them, it meant a line had been crossed. No more hiding. No more pretending it didn't matter. Don't skip this. Because what they felt next surprised even them. It wasn't panic. It was relief. For the first time in a long time, they weren't rehearsing imaginary conversations in their head. They weren't wondering, what if? They had already chosen honesty. And then, your name lit up. Not with a long paragraph. Not with dramatic words. Just a simple response. I've been thinking too. Stay till the end, because this is where everything changes. Those 4 words carried the weight of months. Maybe longer. Your person read them once. Twice. 3 times. And in that moment, every doubt that had been quietly growing began to dissolve. The conversation with their brother earlier that day suddenly made sense. When they said, real is rare, they weren't trying to romanticize the past. They were acknowledging a connection that never truly faded. Now they were staring at proof that it wasn't one-sided. Something huge is waiting for you in this realization. Both of you were silent at the same time. Both of you were thinking at the same time. Both of you were afraid of saying the wrong thing at the same time. And yet, on this exact day, the day your person spoke about you with their brother, courage found both of you. They typed back slowly. Not rushing. Not overwhelming. Just steady truth. I don't want to pretend this didn't mean something. They paused before sending it, not because they doubted the feeling, but because they understood the significance. This wasn't just a message exchange. This was alignment. Earlier, when their brother asked, "Do you still see a future with them?" your person answered yes without hesitation. Now, reading your reply, that yes felt alive. This isn't about fairy tales. It's about timing. It's about two people reaching clarity on the same day they finally stopped fighting what they felt. Don't skip this part of the story. Because what started as a private conversation between siblings has now become a shared awakening between two hearts. Your person isn't imagining the connection anymore. They are experiencing it again. And as the messages continue, something undeniable is forming, not just words, but understanding. Stay with this. Because in the next part, you'll discover what your person admits when the conversation deepens, something even their brother doesn't know yet. Tonight was never random. It was the beginning of truth unfolding in real time. There was a shift in the tone of the conversation that neither of you expected. What started as cautious words began to feel like doors opening. Your person stared at the screen, watching your replies come in, thoughtful, steady, real. There was no blame. No rehearsed pride. Just honesty meeting honesty. And then you asked a question that made their heart pause. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Don't skip this. Because the answer they gave was the most vulnerable truth they've spoken in a long time. They typed slowly. I thought giving you space was the mature thing to do. But maybe I was just afraid you wouldn't choose me again. That wasn't a strategy. That was confession. Earlier that day, when they spoke to their brother, they had admitted they feared you had grown past them. Now they were saying it directly to you. Stay till the end, because this is where the once-in-a-lifetime realization unfolds. Your response didn't criticize. You wrote, I was waiting for you to show me you still cared. In that moment, everything aligned. Two people. Two fears. One misunderstanding. Both of you were protecting yourselves. Both of you were hoping the other would make the first move. And on the exact day your person opened up about you to their brother, the silence finally broke. Something huge is waiting for you in this truth. The distance was never about a lack of feeling. It was about unspoken vulnerability. Your person leaned back, exhaling in a way that felt like release. The conversation with their brother earlier had planted courage. But this exchange with you, this was confirmation. They realized something profound. Love doesn't disappear quietly. It waits quietly. And tonight, it stopped waiting. They typed one more message, and this time there was no hesitation at all. I don't want to lose what we have. Not again. I'm ready to do this the right way. Those words were not dramatic. They were grounded. Real. And when they pressed send, it wasn't about reclaiming the past. It was about choosing the future. Stay with this. Because what began as a private conversation between siblings has now become a turning point between two hearts who finally understand each other. Don't skip the power of this moment. Because sometimes the most life-changing shifts don't happen with noise. They happen when two people decide to stop being afraid at the same time. And tonight, that's exactly what happened. Just when it felt like the night had already said everything it could, one final revelation changed the atmosphere completely. Your person read your last message slowly. I don't want to repeat the same mistakes. But I don't want to lose this either. Those words didn't create pressure. They created possibility. Don't skip this moment. Because what your person did next wasn't impulsive, it was intentional in a way that proves this is different now. They didn't respond immediately. Instead, they opened their notes app. Yes, their notes. Earlier in the week, before they ever spoke to their brother, before they ever typed that first message to you, they had written something privately. A list. Not of complaints. Not of regrets. A list of what they would do differently if they ever got another chance. They had titled it simply, "If I Ever Try Again." Stay till the end, because this is where the truth becomes undeniable. On that list were quiet promises. Listen without assuming. Speak without shutting down. Choose courage over silence. Be consistent, not just intense. They weren't planning to show it to anyone. But tonight, after everything that unfolded, the conversation with their brother, the memory that appeared, the messages you both finally sent, they realized something shocking. They had been preparing for this moment long before it arrived. Something huge is waiting for you in this realization. When they spoke about you with their brother, they weren't just reminiscing. They were measuring themselves. Asking silently, "Am I ready now?" And tonight, for the first time, the answer felt like yes. They returned to your chat. They didn't send a long speech. They sent something steady. I don't expect perfection. I just want honesty and effort, from both of us. I'm willing to give that. There was no drama in it. Just maturity. And that's what makes this once in a lifetime. Because connections often fade when pride wins. But yours didn't fade. It waited until both of you grew into people who could handle it better. Don't skip the weight of this truth. Earlier today, your name was spoken in a private conversation between brothers. Tonight, it's being spoken directly, without fear. That is growth in real time.